Okay, hello and welcome to my kitchen today. So today I'm going to be taking a look at propeller holders for the DJI Air 3 and the Air 3S. Now I've basically tested all of these on both the Air 3 and the Air 3S and they fit exactly the same. Now for some reason when these guys came out, DJI did not give us any propeller holders. Yes, you can just take the props on and off when you put it in the bag, but that's just introducing more wear and tear and more effort. So yeah, I basically went out and bought all the different prop holders I could find. Well, not all of them, but basically all the different major designs that I could see that were available. So we're going to work our way from the easiest ones that you might even have laying around the house if you have somebody with long hair, all the way to what I believe to be the best one, although I still believe there could be a better one out there. So let's get started with the first one. So the first one, like I said, if you have somebody around the house who's got long hair, they probably have some of these, which are hair bubbles, and you can also use something like elastic bands. But this is going to be the simplest option. All you do is you just expand it, get all the props into line, and then just get it on. It actually is a little bit tricky to get these guys on, and then just line it all up until the propellers are all sort of nicely situated and our propellers should stay in place. Now, one thing I don't like about using something like this is the fact that it's really squeezing down on these propellers here. We can see there's a bit of flex going on. Now in the short term, this is probably not going to do much harm, but over time, this can definitely cause deformation of the propeller and then damage over time. So this is why I don't really recommend something like this, but if you're in a bit of a pinch, you can just throw something like that on, or you can just put it back in the bag without any propeller holder. So that's the most basic one that most of us are going to be able to find lying around the house. And if you can't, just look in a drawer and you probably steal one of these from somebody in your house. So let's move on to the next one. Now this one is a little bit more of a purpose purchased object, and it's going to be a Velcro or hook and loop strap. Now this one you get a little bit more control than you do with elastic band or a hair bubble, because you can control just how tight this is actually fitted to the drone. Now in order to fit this, my personal recommendation is start where the cut is halfway along the body. So if I move you to this camera here, I'm going to position it just there, and then I'm going to wrap around. Going to enclose all of the propellers all the way around, and then I'm just going to seal it and secure it. Now again, you have a little bit more control over this one. Like I mentioned, you can make it tighter or looser depending on how you want to have it. But again, we're still going to have that same sort of thing. It's squeezing on the propellers here. In short term, it's probably not that bad, but I just personally don't think that this is something that I would be comfortable with using for a long term. But you can definitely use this. Now, like I said, I would have the softer section on the body so that we're not going to be scratching it with these hooks. But doing it this way does mean that sometimes it can get a little bit stuck on the inside of the fly mold bag, because the hooks kind of sort of grab into the softer material there on that bag. So it's not a bad thing to use. And if it's something you got lying around, then go ahead and use it. But there are definitely better options. So let's move on to some of those better options. So the first one is going to be this one. Now, with these sort of propeller holders, this one is branded as Start RC, but I have seen various different prop holders that look exactly the same. Some are branded, some aren't branded, so I'm not sure if they're just getting them from the same place and they're exchanging one or two pieces that have their branding on, but this one says Start RC on it, and it's basically a plastic bottom with the elasticy section on the top, so it's just the next level up from a rubber band or something you got lying around the house. Now, one thing I like about this one is the bottom section is really easy to fit and still gives you access to everything else that you have on the back of the drone. So let me just click that in properly. So with this one, the two holes here, they just line up with the landing lugs on the bottom. Drop it on into place. Oh, he says, drop it into place, flip it over, pull the strap over the propellers, and then we have two holes here. We can push it into, lock it into place, and then there we go. Now with this one, similar to the rubber band and the Velcro strap, it is squeezing on the propellers. It's not squeezing on them as much, so I'm much more happy about that. But it is still just squeezing on them a little bit. And yeah, apart from that, I like the fact that the bottom still gives you access to everything at the back. But this one is a bit tricky to get in and out of the bag. I find that this tends to snag a little bit and get caught, and it can be a bit finicky to get it in and out of that fly mold bag. But it is definitely, I think, a better option than just using either of these two. So let's move on to the next one. Now the next one is definitely a step up in my opinion. So the next one is going to be this one. Now again, I've seen this, I think, unbranded and branded with different brands, but don't take my word for that. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But this one, I really like the base of this one to an extent. Now what I really like about it is we have this little section here. Now what this allows us to do is lock everything into place so easily. So as long as our props are somewhere nearby, the lugs sort of line up with the landing lugs here, and this section here just locks in to the ribs on the body, and it just clicks on perfectly every single time. We've got a nice big gap here for the propellers on the bottom to fit into, and I really like that fact. Now I'm going to flip it over, and we're going to wrap this section around the top. Now we can see here we have this bit here. It just goes in between the arm and the propeller, and the same on the other side, in between the arm and the propeller, and then we lock it into place. He says this one is a bit tricky to lock in. There we go. And then as we can see here, we have space for the props to move a little. It's not squeezing on the props. And because it's this sort of soft silicone rubber type thing, it's flexible. So we're not squeezing down, we're not pinching, we're not deforming those propellers. Now I really like that about this one. This one again can be a bit tricky to get in and out of the bag, mainly because this tends to get caught on the lip and can pull back, and you just kind of have to wiggle it in a bit. But yeah, it's still not bad, but it's just not as good as the next one. Now, one thing that I really dislike about the base of this one, I like the gap for the propellers, I like this section here that locks into the ribs, but I really don't like what they did at the back. For some reason, they've extended this back section here, so you can't get the access to the SD card section, and you can't even take the battery out without removing this thing. So it's really annoying because a lot of times the drone can be in the bag, you just want to pull the SD card out without having to take the whole thing out and unfold it, take the prop guard off and all that stuff. So that's actually really annoying. Now I could just cut this section out here and then it would be better, but this top section here could also be improved. So we're going to move on to the next one, and this is the one that I think is actually the best one so far. So this one here is basically an all plastic design, and we just have a silicone strap for locking it off at the top. Now this is all sort of contoured to fit perfectly around the shape of the drone's body, and we have gaps here for the propellers, but this time it's hard plastic, so it doesn't wiggle around as much when you're trying to put it in to the bag. So if we put this guy on, we can see here again, we just line everything up at the bottom. We have the two little gaps here for the landing lugs. This one I find is a little bit more finicky to actually get on at the bottom, mainly because the gap here for the propellers is a bit smaller than it is on that one. So if they made the gap on this one a bit bigger, it would definitely be better. So you just have to be a bit more careful when you lock this one into place, but give it a bit of a wiggle and then it's locked into place, I think. Yep, that's locked in. So then we turn it over and then we just fold on these two edges here, and then we just secure it with the silicone strap on the top. Now this one, pretty easy to get on. One improvement definitely could be to add sort of this locking lug here that we see on this one onto this bit here. It would make it just a bit easier to line things up, and then also if this was a tiny bit bigger, it would also make it a bit easier, because sometimes I get the propellers trapped when I'm putting this on and have to reposition things, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that bad. Now we also have plenty of space here for the propellers to move around, so they're held in place, but they still have a bit of room to wiggle, so that's nice and good there. And also because this is hard plastic, getting this in and out of the bag is really simple. This is the easiest one of all of them to get in and out of the bag, because this plastic section here doesn't flex and move around as you're trying to get it in. And also this one here, we still have access to everything at the back. This is one of the biggest features of this one. We don't have that SD card slot covered. We can just easily pull this tab off, get to our card, plug it into charge, do whatever you need to do without having to take all of this off, which means you can just leave the drone in the bag as you would like to and just take out your SD card. So yeah, like I said, this one again, I've also seen it branded with different brands on. This one is an unbranded one, and you can get them in various colors, as you can with sort of all of these, so you can pick and choose which one suits your, I don't know, taste the most. But yeah, I definitely think that this one is the best one of the lot so far, but it still could be improved a little bit. Like I said, little tab on the front, this section made a little bit wider, and then I think they would be onto a perfect product. So that's basically all of the propeller holders that I could sort of get my hands on easily. I tried to make sure I got hold of as many as I possibly could, so I could give you a good run through of all of them. Obviously, this isn't every single propeller holder that is available for the Air 3 or the Air 3S, but this is the main sort of bulk of the designs that are out there. So I'm going to leave links to as many of these as I can down in the description to make it a bit easier for you to sort of find them and pick them up. Now, I did actually buy all these from Lazada here in Thailand, but I think I've seen most of them listed on Amazon as well. So I will drop links to the ones that I can find in the descriptions to help you out. And this Air 3 is actually going to have to go off to DJI. Unfortunately, we had a little bit of an issue with it. We're getting some front vision sensor errors with it, so it's going to be off to get repaired and then come back, and hopefully we can enjoy some more good times with it. So that's everything you need to know prop holder wise. So thank you so much for watching. If you want to see my first flight of the Air 3, you can go and check out this video right here. If you want to see a comparison between the Air 3, Air 3S and the Mini 4 Pro, then you can go and check out this video right here. But apart from that, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and goodbye from the kitchen. Bye-bye.